Wow! So you are going to learn the chords, transition between chords, counting, playing time of each chord, and the strumming pattern. That's a lot. By the end of the video or by the end of this lesson, there is a demo that will help you put together all the stuffs that you have learned, as it shows the chords, the lyrics, and the timing or tempo. But before we get started, take a moment to subscribe to my channel. Okay, so here we go. But let's take a second to learn other stuffs before we learn chords. First is the left hand finger notations. There is notation for our left hand fingers. The index finger is numbered 1, the middle finger is numbered 2, the ring finger is numbered 3, and the pinky or small finger is numbered 4. And for the ukulele, for the fretboard, we have this space between the nut and the first fret wire as the first fret. So this is the second fret, this is the third fret, fourth fret, fifth fret, and so on. And the strings, although the strings are tuned to G, C, E, and A, let's learn the numbering of the strings. The bottom is numbered 1. The second is number 2, which is tuned to E. And the string that is tuned to C is number 3. And the top string, which is tuned to G, is numbered 4. So again, the numbering of the strings is from the bottom. 1, 2, 3, 4. Always, as possible, position this part of your thumb at the back of the neck. And always press the strings with the tips of your fingers. And try not to hold the neck like a baseball bat. So move your palm away from the neck. So if I would have my thumb at the back of the neck, I would press the strings with the tips of my fingers. And I would have my palm away from the neck. So that's how you should position your fingers. And that's how your left hand should be formed. Okay, so here we go. The first chord is F. It's a major chord. And for this chord, you have your number 1 finger on number 2 string at first fret, and your number 2 finger on the number 4 string at second fret. And the sound is, the next chord is D minor. It's a minor chord in key of D. For this chord, you have your number 1 finger on the number 2 string at first fret, number 2 finger on the number 4 string at second fret, and your number 3 finger on the number 3 string at second fret. So for this chord, you have 1 finger, your number 1 at first fret, but you have your 2 fingers, your number 2 and number 3, both at second fret. And the first string is the only one left open. And the sound is, next chord is another minor chord in key of G, which is called G minor. For this chord, you have your number 1 finger on the first string at first fret, your number 2 finger on the number 3 string at second fret, and your number 3 finger on number 2 string at third fret. So as you can see, you have 1 finger at each fret. The top string is left open. The sound is, Next chord is a dominant 7th chord in key of C, which is called C7. For this chord, it's a very simple one. You have your number 1 finger on the first string at first fret, and that's it. And the sound is the next chord is another minor chord in key of A, and this is also a very simple chord. Use your number 2 finger on the number 4 string at 2nd fret. The other strings are left open. And the sound is the next chord is a difficult chord, especially for beginners, because it is a bar chord. The name of the next chord is B flat, and it's a bar chord. A chord is called a bar chord when you have to use your index finger to press all 4 strings. And for this chord, you have your index finger or number 1 finger across all 4 strings at 1st fret. And then your number 2 finger goes on the 3rd string at 2nd fret. And your number 3 finger goes on the 4th string at 3rd fret. So for this chord, you have your index finger or number 1 finger pressing all 4 strings. Number 2 finger on the 3rd string at 2nd fret. Number 3 finger on the 4th string at 3rd fret. And the sound is alternatively, you can play this chord with your index finger just pressing the lower 2 strings, the number 1 and number 2, because actually the number 3 is played by your 2nd finger or number 2, and the 4th string is played by your number 3. So it's just the number 1 and number 2 strings are the ones played by your index finger. So you can play it this way. It's still a bar chord because your number 1 finger still have to press 2 strings and have to form a bar. With the moment you use your pad to press several strings, that's when a chord becomes a bar. So alternatively, you can play this or position your fingers for this chord this way. But I would rather press all 4 strings with my number 1 finger. As you can see, my index finger is not so bent compared to when I just press. See the joint here? It goes to the left. It's pointing to the left, very sharp compared to when I have to press all 4 strings. The other dominant 7th chord is a dominant 7th chord in key of G, which is called G7. And for G7, you have your number 1 finger on the number 2 string at 1st fret, your number 2 finger on the number 3 string at 2nd fret, and your number 3 finger on the 1st string at 2nd fret. So for this chord, you have your index finger at 1st fret, but you have 2 fingers, your number 2 and number 3 at 2nd fret. The 4th string is left open. The other dominant 7th is F7th. And for F7th is you have your index finger on the 2nd string, number 2 string at 1st fret, and your number 2 finger on the 4th string at 2nd fret, and your number 3 finger at 3rd string at 3rd fret. There. So you have 1 finger at each fret. This is the sound. The last chord is called C sharp 6. For this chord, you have your number one finger across all four strings. So it's another bar chord. But that's it. That's all. And this is the sound. Now that you have learned those chords and their shapes, try to memorize them, as memorizing each shape would help you move from one chord to the next, which is our topic at this time, the transitioning between chords. Since for this song, the chord progression goes like this: F to D minor. So since we start with F, and you know you have learned that F is this, so from F to D minor, all you have to do is just add your third finger on the third string. Now that's D minor. So from F to D minor, just add your third finger there. The other chord transition, from D minor to G minor. Now in this case, you really have to break the shape and bring down your fingers. So it's like going down one string, but you need to stretch your third finger to third fret. Now that's G minor. So you can practice moving from D minor to G minor this way. So again, from D minor with this shape, you can think of it this way. To G minor, it is just like going one string down for the whole shape. I mean, each finger goes one string down, meaning number one finger goes one string down, number two finger goes one string down, and number three finger goes one string down. So that will be the new position. But that's not G minor yet. To make it a G minor, you need to position your third finger at third fret. So from here, you need to stretch your third finger here, right? So you can move from D minor this way. But if you do it this way, it's like two steps. One and then two. The proper way is actually doing everything in one single motion there. All you have to remember is just go one string down from D minor, but make sure that your third finger goes at third fret. And then from G minor to C7, just take out the number 2 and number 3 fingers off the strings, as that's C7. So from G minor to C7, there. There is a sequence where from D minor, you move to A minor. Now in this case, this is D minor to the next chord A minor. All you have to do is take out your index finger as well as your third finger. Now that's A minor. So from D minor to A minor, there's a transition or a progression from F to B flat. This is your F, and you know that B flat is a bar chord. So all you have to do is stretch your index finger and press all four strings. The second finger goes down to third string, and now you have to use your third finger on the fourth string. Now this is B flat. Now from B flat, you move to C7. So all you have to do is just with your index finger goes down on the first string to C7. And then there's a transition from C7 to D minor. So from C7 to D minor, all you have to do is the index finger or the number one finger goes up on the second string at first fret. So same fret position, but you have to add your second finger here on the fourth string and your third finger on the third string. And this is D minor. And then there's a transition from D minor to F. Then all you have to do is from D minor, take out the third finger, as that is F. There is the transition from F to F7. This is our F. And F7 is just add one more finger, the third finger or the number 3 finger, position it on the third string at third fret. So this is F7. And again from F to F7. There is a transition between G7 to C7. Since this is G7, now to move to C7, all you have to do is your index finger goes down on the first string and the other fingers off the board, off the fretboard. So G7 to C7. And going to C sharp 6, the preceding chord is C7. So all you have to do is just stretch out your index finger and move it across all 4 strings, or position it across all 4 strings. There is a chord progression where it starts with B flat and then followed by A minor, then D minor, and then F. Now your transition between those chords is this one. So you know that this is your B flat. To go to A minor, just bring your number 2 finger on the 4th string. The other fingers goes out. And then from A minor to D minor, keep your number 2 finger there. Position your number 3 on the 3rd string at 2nd fret and your number 1 finger on the 2nd string at 1st fret. And then from D minor to F, just take out your 3rd finger. That's F. There is a chord progression that starts with G minor, followed by C7, and then F, and then F7. Now your transition between those chords is this. This is G minor. To C7, just take out your number 2 and number 3 fingers. And then to F7, move your index finger, number 1 finger up to 2nd string. And then add your number 2 finger on the 4th string. And then to F7, keep both fingers. Just add your number 3 finger at 3rd string at 3rd fret. Okay, now that you have learned the chords and the transition between chords, now it's time for you to learn counting. We have to learn first the time signature. The time signature is very important as it tells you how many beats are there in one measure. The time signature for this song is 4/4, meaning there are 4 beats in a measure and you're going to count up to 4. So your counters are 1, 2, 3, 4. So your counting goes this way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on until the end of the song. How do you count? How fast or how slow you count those counters? That tells you the tempo of the song. Now for this song, the recorded tempo is like 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4. Now that appears to be a fast tempo for a beginner. So I would suggest, if you are learning a song and you are not familiar or very familiar with chords and switching between chords, I would say that you adopt a slow tempo. And so for this lesson, we are going to adapt a slow tempo, and that would be 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4. In doing so, you will have enough time to move between chords and to focus on the progress of the song. Once you have decided for a tempo for studying the song, you can now think about the playing time of each chord, meaning how long a chord should ring before you move to the next chord, or how many beats a chord would be played before you move to the next chord. For this song, majority or almost all of the chords are actually played for one measure only. So that means each chord gets 4 beats. In other words, if I play F and do one measure for that, that means it must receive 4 counts or 4 beats. 1, 2, 3, 4, and that would be it for this chord. And for the next chord, it's D minor. 1, 2, 3, 4, and that would be it for this chord. And the next chord would be G minor. 1, 2, 3, 4, and the next chord is C7. 1, 2, 3, 4. As you can see, I played each of those chords for 4 beats. And for simplicity, I just strummed on every beat. So you'd see how the beat goes and how long a chord is to be played. The song consists of verses and a refrain, and its form goes like this: verse first, and another verse, and then refrain, and then the last part is another verse. Just to show you the playing time of each chord, I'll just strum once each chord, but at the same time I'm going to count just for you to see that each chord gets 4 beats or 4 counts. So I'll just play the verse and then the refrain and then the last verse. 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4. There, that's the verse. As you can see, each chord gets 4 beats or 4 counts. Same thing happens on the second verse. And then for the refrain, it's also one measure for each chord. So each chord will get 4 beats or 4 counts, or the playing time of each chord is one measure. So here we go. 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 But for G7 and C7, as you can see, the playing time of those two chords is 2 measures each. So 2 measures for G7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 2 measures also for C7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And for the last part of the song, which is actually another verse, it goes like this: 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. There, as you would notice, for this part, there's this 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Between D minor and B flat, both chords are in 1 measure. D minor and B flat, they are in the same measure, and that measure is called split measure. D minor starts right at count 1, 1, 2, but B flat goes on the third beat or third count. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then on the next measure or the following measure is for chord F. So it's only on this part where two chords are played for just 2 beats. The D minor, 1, 2, and then the B flat, 3, 4 there. And then they are followed by F, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then in the next line, it's same thing. Make it easy to be near you. Right? So again, you have the D minor at count 1, and then at count 3, that's B flat. And then followed by F on the next measure. Same thing happened on the following line. For the things to 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, right? So for 3 lines, for those 3 lines, lyric lines, the D minor and B flat, they are in a split measure, meaning D minor starts right at count 1, but when you get to count number 3, that's for the B flat. Don't worry if you are not able to follow at this time, but it will be shown later in the demo, where you will see the position of the chords along the lyric lines with the counters. And then for C sharp 6, that's actually played for 4 measures. So if our tempo is 1, 2, 3, 4, so you have to do 4 rounds of that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 4 measures already. And then to F, also for 4 measures. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then for the humming part, which is the last line of the song, the chords are for 1 measure each. So there's the counting for this song. You have to count up to 4, and you have to count steady and even. Count slow so you have time to focus on everything, because learning an instrument is a multitasking thing. You have to mindful about your left hand doing the right chords, and your right hand giving the right rhythm. And if you want to sing also, that's another thing, right? And then looking at the chord sheet or lyric sheet or song sheet, that's another thing. So take your time, do it slow. Now that you have learned how to count for this song, and that involves counting steady and even, and you also have to be aware of the playing time of each chord. But for this song, it's a bit easy. Majority of the chords are played for 1 measure. Now it's time for us to think about rhythm. How are we going to strum the song? What rhythm are we going to apply? But for this song, we can still apply a basic rhythmic pattern, which is easy for a beginner to follow. And what is that basic rhythmic pattern? Well, basic rhythmic patterns are whole note strum, half note strum, quarter note strum, and eighth note strum. And for this piece, I Will, a basic rhythmic pattern of quarter note strum is good enough. And if you are asking yourself, what are those patterns that I have just mentioned? I've made a tutorial in the past about basic rhythmic patterns. So I would suggest that you check that out and learn the basic rhythmic patterns. Or better, click on this card for the link to ABCs of Strumming, which is a lesson on the basic rhythmic patterns, which are whole note, half note, quarter note, and eighth note strums. And so here we'll apply the quarter note rhythm. But before I discuss with you the basic rhythmic pattern of quarter note strum for this piece, let's talk about for a second what's a downstroke and an upstroke. Downstroke is this motion. So you strum the strings with the downward direction of your right hand. So that's downstroke. And the opposite of that is of course upstroke. And for quarter note strum, I would suggest that your strumming pattern would be a sequence of downstroke, upstroke, downstroke, upstroke. But where do you apply those strokes? On every count, on every beat. So for this pattern, I suggest that you do a downstroke right at count 1, an upstroke at count 2, a downstroke at count 3, and an upstroke at count 4. So if we keep going, it goes like this: 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's quarter note strum as the rhythmic pattern, and the strumming pattern is alternate strokes because you alternate the downstroke and the upstroke. Now that would be the pattern that we are going to apply for this song. Okay, now that you have learned the chords, transitioning between chords, the counting, the playing time of each chord, and the strumming pattern, it's time now for the demo. So here we go. Okay, here we go. Here's the demo, and our tempo is 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Who knows how long I've loved you? You know I love you still. Will I wait a lonely lifetime if you want me to? I will. For if I ever saw you, I didn't catch your name, but it never really mattered. I will always feel the same. Love you forever and forever. Love you with all my heart. Love love you whenever we're together. Love you when we're apart. And when at last I find you, your song will fill the air. Sing it loud so I can hear you. Make it easy to be near you. For the things you do and dear you to me, how you know I will. I will. La 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 la. Don't forget to click the like and the subscribe buttons. So there, I hope you were able to follow the demo. Click on this card for the link to ABCs of strumming, which is a lesson on the basic rhythmic patterns, which are whole note, half note, quarter note, and eighth note strums. And also, there's another song where the basic rhythmic patterns were applied. Click on this card for the link to the application of those basic rhythmic patterns on a song titled The Show. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, please do so. And don't forget to hit the like button. Also, at the end of this video are 2 more tutorials on how to play the ukulele. And please let me know what you think about this video or this tutorial by leaving your comment in the comment section box. And you can save, download, or add this video to your own playlist so you can watch this video later. So again, if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, please do so, and don't forget to like the click button, also to hit the notification bell so that you would be notified with the future upload. Thank you so much for watching this video. Don't forget to click the like and the subscribe buttons.